Hola amigos, estoy en un nuevo video y en un nuevo juego que me regalaron este mes. Se llama The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Vamos a ver qué tal. Bien, aquí seleccionamos el lenguaje. Subtítulos. Están bien en español. Nunca he jugado este juego. Ok, la hora actual es... ¿Y eso para qué es? 12:50. Pero PM. Ahí está. Para acceder a la configuración de accesibilidad desde el menú principal. Ok. ¿Para qué será la hora? No entiendo. No tengo ni idea de qué se trata este juego, ¿eh? Parece que tú estás como en un tipo oficina o algo así.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day,
Qué aburrido
every
trabajo.
month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
Y lo
Stanley
disfrutaba.
was
Manches.
happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ok. Creo que estoy solo. No puedo interactuar con nada. Hay como varias oficinas con números. Yo soy la 427 y hay más.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Hay varias.
No matter how hard Stanley
Yes.
looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
¿Dónde están todos? ¿A dónde se fueron? A lo mejor me tienen planeado una fiesta o algo así. Hola. ¿Hay alguien ahí? Hola, hola. No hay nadie. No se pueden abrir las puertas. No puedes entrar a ningún lado. Ok, sigamos el camino entonces. Hola, ¿hay alguien ahí?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Y si quiero ir a la derecha, ¿qué pasa? Hacemos lo contrario de lo que dijo. A ver, vamos a ver qué pasa.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ok. 445, 446. Ay, cuántas puertas. Parece el laberinto aquí. 449, 450.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Voy a agarrar una bebida. Que no. Realmente no puedo interactuar con nada.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Okay. Se escucha el reloj, mira.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Unas 10:55.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Ok, me quedo, me voy. Voy a esperar un ratito más a ver qué pasa. Las pinturas, a ver. Café. Ok, creo que ya vámonos. No pasa nada.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Medio raro este juego. O sea, quiere que le haga caso o nos vamos derecho. Hay como un almacén y acá derecho hay otra oficina. Hay que hacerle caso. Vámonos para acá.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Sí, soy malo, malo, malo. ¿Y ahora qué? ¿Dónde voy? Nadie. ¿Y ahora qué? ¿Por ahí o qué?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Yo quiero seguir mis propias indicaciones.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Y no hay otro camino más que acá. Llegué a un almacén. No puedo hacer nada, solo caminar. Me agacho. Ok, es lo único que hace. Luego se agacha. Con la X hace algo, pero... You can jump. Intenté saltar. What? 2 trofeos. Qué fácil. ¿Y ahí qué? Tengo que meter esa puerta, no hay nada. What?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Y si no quiero contestar, que no hay de otra. Pues contesta, pues, ¿cómo se contesta? Ah, ya. ¿Morí? ¿Qué pasó? What?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
No te voy a hacer caso, no voy a entrar. Vámonos por acá.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Fuck. A fuerzas voy a entrar ahí.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Okay.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button.
Pues no queda
Now
de otra.
he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
No puedo hacer otra cosa. Okay.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
¿Cuál televisión es esa?
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Otra vez un reloj. Y es la misma hora. ¿Cuál es chico?
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Okay, vamos a preparar la cena.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Bien loco ese Stanley.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
¿Cuál esposa?
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Bien loco este Stanley, la neta.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Ok, no lo voy a hacer, a ver qué pasa. No pasa nada. No puedo hacer nada más.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Me estoy volviendo loco.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button.
What?
And I tried.
What? ¿Qué? ¿Murió? ¿Qué pasó? What the fuck? Regresé al principio, what? ¿Qué demonios está pasando? Ahorita decían que eran las 11. Bueno, hace ratito antes de morir decían las 11. Otra vez dicen las 10. What the fuck? Ok, me regreso otra vez.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
What the fuck?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ok, ahora vamos a la izquierda a ver qué pasa. Vamos a hacerle caso. Ok. No pasa nada, no pasa nada. Continúo, continúo.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Me quedo aquí.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ay, no. No sé. Abajo, arriba, abajo o arriba. ¿A dónde voy? ¿La oficina de mi jefe o huyo? Mejor hay que huir. Para abajo. Llegué a mi coche.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
What?
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
What?
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
What the fuck?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Okay, morí otra vez. Regresé otra vez, amigos. La verdad no entiendo el objetivo de este juego. Ok, regresé. Como que el objetivo del juego es salir de aquí. aquí sin morir. Pero como Stanley está bien loco, no sé ni cómo salir de aquí.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¿Habrá alguna pista por
No
aquí?
matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Hay pistas. Ok, ahora vamos por otro camino. Ah, caray. Nunca había cerrado la puerta esa. Se cerró sola. Ah. What? Oh, apenas me estoy dando cuenta, amigos. Se abren las puertas con X. Ok.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Ok. No se abre. No se abre. Ok, entonces para interactuar es con X. Ok, acá me estoy regresando. No hay nada, ok. Que de todos modos no se abre ninguna puerta.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ok, vamos a atravesar la derecha, ok.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
No, de todos modos no se abren las puertas.
Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ok, aquí me había ido derecho, ahora vámonos para acá.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Ok, un elevador. ¿Qué hago? ¿Elevador o acá? Ah, creo que morí.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no. No,
Oh.
it's to the right. My mistake.
Ah,
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh, dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
a decir,
Let's see, we went down right, left, down, left, right? Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Loco este juego, la neta. No veo ni madres. What? No manches, todas las habitaciones.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to,
Mira, me
who
despidieron.
am I kidding? It's all rubbish now.
El
The whole
104
story
lo
completely
despidieron.
unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Es el único que dice despedido, el 104. ¿Tendrá algo que ver para pasar la historia? No manches. Qué desesperante este juego, la neta. Ok. Vimos que el 104 está despedido.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Okay,
What could it mean?
Vámonos,
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Vámonos.
When Stanley... Wait.
Huh?
Wait, what?
What?
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely
No
fresh.
manches.
Everything should be... Oh, did something change?
Hay más puertas.
Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
No manches. Ahora hay 6 puertas. No puede ser. Si me brinco por aquí. A ver si puedo brincarme. No puedo brincarme. Ah, joder. Joder, tío. Esto se pone más difícil. A ver.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before.
Por aquí, pues, vamos.
Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Ah, no manches. Otra vez voy a reiniciar. What? Oh, no puede ser. Tengo que encontrar pistas a lo mejor o qué onda.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, ahora no hay puertas.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Ok, ahora no hay puertas. Vamos a tener que regresar. ¿Y ahora qué? Ya no puedo interactuar con las puertas. Por aquí. ¿Regreso otra vez o qué?
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
What?
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
Yeah.
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Otra vez, no manches. Y ahora aquí. Adventure line.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
No lo sé, no confío en ti, Rick. A ver. Es el mismo mapa, Ah, caray. Esta puerta no estaba abierta antes. Porque no le voy a hacer caso, me voy por acá.
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
Ok. Creo que no queda de otra más que seguir la línea.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay, now if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
What the fuck? Ok, salgo a donde mismo. Por acá. Llegué al 11. bien loco este juego. What?
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern.
¿Cuál es el hecho? ¿Qué tiene el
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story.
Okay.
Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Ok. Pues no tiene nada de especial. Solo un helecho. En una oficina. Bueno, es como un hall. Un pasillo. Reloj, 2 sillas. Una caja con papeles. 2 ventanas. Y un cuadro del mar. Ok. Sigamos.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No.
Regresamos.
Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Ok, esta no estaba abierta. A ver acá, a ver si hay puertas. No,
Still
no hay
missing the doors. Did we make a mistake following the line? Perhaps we could have found the story on our own.
Ok. Otra vez aquí.
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through,
Y el
you...
104
I
sigue
can't take this anymore.
marcado.
To hell with it. Restart.
Ah, no. Otra vez la línea. Ok. Reiniciamos de nuevo, pero ahora con la línea. Y otra vez hay que seguir la línea.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Ok. Entramos ahora a la puerta 437.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild.
What?
Use your
What?
imagination.
Estoy dando vueltas.
Whatever it might
No hay
be,
nada.
Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Ok. No hay nada, no hay nada.
Oh, no, not you again.
Otra vez la
Stanley,
línea.
I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Ok, no le hago caso a la línea. Pero de todos modos no hay otro camino. Ok.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Ok. Me dijo que estaba vuelto un minuto. A ver qué pasa. Ya me mareé. Porque no pasa nada, ya nos metemos a esta puerta. El final de la confusión.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending.
No manches,
You're
es lo
telling
que he
me
jugado, miren.
that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination, so I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
What? Otra vez reinicié. What? Ok, reinicio otra vez, ahora no hay línea.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ahora sí estamos
When
de
Stanley came to a
vuelta.
set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ah, no manches, estoy reiniciando otra vez. A ver, vamos a hacerle caso ahora.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an... Coming to a staircase,
Okay,
Stanley
vamos a
walked
ver
upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Okay.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Okay.
2845.
4, 5.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Okay. Oh. Arriba, abajo. Abajo.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
What? I don't know.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape. No, vamos a hacerle caso a todo.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Okay.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Miren, el 601 también. Ok, vamos.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under...
Ya nos da partida, o sea que sí se guarda el juego. Sí, porque dice aquí empezar de cero. No, entonces...
someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
No sé a dónde llegué.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ok, 5. Voy a apretar este botón. Cayó un botón. Ok, 1. Ahí es como 5 botones. Ahí está el 1, el 2. No puedo entrar acá. Ok, de aquí vengo. Ahí hay otras escaleras. Ok, creo que nada más es para cruzar. Sí, entonces vamos acá.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Ok. ¿Qué hago? ¿Apagarlo o encenderlo? No manches, qué dilema. Bueno, ahí decía que hay que terminar con todo, entonces vamos a apagarlo. Ay, pero no sé, algo me dice que tengo que prender. Oh, no, 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 no. ¿Qué hago? ¿Qué hago? ¿Qué hago? Bueno, lo voy a apagar. No, no sé. Ah, ayuda. ¿Qué hago? ¿Qué hago? Bueno, lo voy a apagar. Lo apagué. ¿Qué va a pasar? ¿Qué va a pasar?
blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth
Ya acabó el
knowing.
juego, amigos.
Stanley stepped through the open door.
Okay. Vámonos.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Ok. Pasé el juego, por fin. Ok. Muy bien. Entonces, ya vencí el juego, pero como que hay más cosas que hacer. A ver algo. En un momento, amigos. Bien. Estaba viendo los trofeos. Y bueno, yo tengo algunos. Este dice, trofeo, por favor ignora. Reemplaza esto. Ok, supongo que eso es trofeo. Se hace al ignorar todas las indicaciones. Welcome back. Regreso de nuevo. Quitar el juego y reiniciarlo. Ok. Juega el Stanley por una duración de un martes. Ok. O sea que tengo que jugar un martes para que me den este trofeo. Ok, ¿y cómo vas a ver el juego que es martes? No lo sé. 8. Eso no sé qué sea. Ok, click on door. Ok, dar a la puerta 430 veces. ¿Cuál puerta? Supongo que cualquier puerta. Bien. Speedrun. Completa el Stanley en 4 minutos. 22 segundos. No incluyendo los tiempos de carga. Ok. Settings World Champion. Eso lo tengo que hacer desde Settings. What? ¿Que no juegue Stanley Parable por 10 años? What the fuck? Están medio raros los trofeos. Pero bueno, a ver. Vamos a dar una última partida. Vamos a hacer el trofeo de pasarla en 4 minutos. Eso ya sé cómo se pasa. A ver, aquí en configuración. Controles. Vamos a empezar de cero. Supongo que ahí me van a dar un trofeo porque empecé de cero. Ok. Vamos a pasarla en 4 minutos.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Era
What could
dos,
it mean? Stanley wondered aloud
ocho.
to nobody.
Ay.
He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's
Okay.
desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
What? Ahora es diferente.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machine...
Ok. Eso es para obtener el trofeo. Pasarlo en 4 minutos.
blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Ah, caray. ¿Y mi trofeo? No me lo dieron. No, pues sabe. Bueno, hasta aquí le vamos a dejar en este juego. Luego hago todos los trofeos. Nos vemos.